Yeah. So partnership's been really important to us. How can we really view education beyond the walls of a school? Because we all know what happens in the classroom is really important, what happens in the school is really important, but actually it extends beyond that, and we're talking around building on the work of Valerie Hannon and others around a learning ecosystem. We've got a couple of case studies that we're working around here, and one of them is in New Brighton, where one of our secondary schools is, and it's a historic seaside town who's gone through years of decline, really over years, and it's in a period of regeneration, particularly through the work of one guy called Dan Davis, who is a local entrepreneur who's put a lot of his money and funding into a road in New Brighton where we've rented some office space. He's focused a lot of his efforts around art and investing in street art in the community, but also in venues and spaces. So, for example, he has an art gallery that we've used to showcase some of the work from our young people. He's got a venue behind that we've run an event now which the kids absolutely love called Friday Night Live. So we've taken our musicians from our schools, from the traditional performance in our school space, and every term they put on a concert that we invite parents to in a venue, and that's just been magical. We've used the whole street space for an arts festival, and we're doing that this summer as well, and there's going to be a focus around conservation and our work with Chester Zoo, which is another partnership. So it's a little bit about how can we reimagine space with partners, and this is one example of space, but how can we reimagine the focus that goes back into our curriculum? So the idea of a place-based curriculum. So this is all about place-based change as well, and this is an example. We've got other examples, but currently, how can we take that theme of regeneration into our curriculum? So one of our colleagues here, Head of Humanities, has been looking at how we can shape the concept of regeneration, the concept of the seaside town, the concept of that into their geography lessons, into the English lessons as well. How can we look at persuasive writing around how can we change the fortunes of a local town? And the office space that we've got within the community as well, we're using for young people to come, so have like a wider area so they can engage in the community, they can do some work in the office space, and they can then shape that into something more exciting. So we're setting up a podcast studio, for example, in the basement. It's an old bank, so it's a really creative space that we are going to use, not just to develop creativity, but also for the outputs for the young people's learning. So we're engaging with the regeneration aspect, so we're engaged with Wirral Council there as well, but we've also got colleagues there who are looking at entrepreneurial skills. So again, looking at how we can build that into the curriculum and set up pop-up shops for the young people in the autumn term, and colleagues from Liverpool University as well, and for John Moores, looking at how those skills that, yes, they're a creative palette of skills that work in the classroom, but what does that mean to businesses and communities? So how can we look at that as employability skills? So that's about entrepreneurial spirit. It's also about workforce placement. So again, looking at the examples of colleagues and businesses within the road, having our young people work in work placements and giving them critically another language for success, because lots of our young people across the country aren't coming to school because they feel disengaged, disenfranchised with the system. Well, giving them a richer curriculum experience like we're giving them in New Brighton is great, but also how can we capture their success through the language of the learning, through the learning wheel that we've got, the creativity wheel. We're also developing digital portfolios, so they might have a work placement on the road or one of the businesses, and the language that the young person will be provided with, and on the digital portfolio, how collaborative you've been, how disciplined you've been, how inquisitive you've been in that, because that's the skills that we need for the workforce in the future.